execution, the most painful human execution by boxers. Thank you.
In human history, the first execution is one where a man was forced to watch his own brother get slaughtered right in front of him.
No, we're studying off strong, I see. Studying off strong.
Before being sent to the grave his damn self. Yeah, sounds pretty messed up, right? Well, this story gets a lot more fun than that, but first let me give you like 1 to 2 minutes of background information so you actually understand why they made this specific execution so painful.
Alright.
Let me take you back to the year 1514 to meet this man Gregory Doza, who at the time was a cavalry captain for what is now Belgrade. Basically, how the story goes is that one day, some random Hungarian chancellor ordered Doza to assemble an army to defeat the Ottomans, which is, you know, the Ottoman Empire. And being the good boy Doza is, he assembled an army of 40,000 soldiers to fight those bad
40,000. Guys, I am more surprised. No.
boys. Quick side note that's actually going to be really important in about 30 seconds. These soldiers were actually just peasants of the empire that this dude just rounded up to fight for him.
Bruh.
Let's just say I don't think these peasants were fighting willingly, because Doza forced them to go into war without...
Guys, you have this opportunity to punch bro in the face right now if you wanna live.
giving them food,
One, be sure to like it up. Do you think I forgot? Hell no.
clothing, or even weapons. I mean, this dude was literally sending people to the damn slaughterhouse. So how were the peasants just okay with it is probably what you're thinking.
Yep.
Well, that's because the peasants actually teamed up to revolt against their own empire.
Damn.
Instead of fighting the, you know, the
Why do you both pee himself? Why do you both pee himself, bro? You gotta be that scared.
Ottomans, like they were supposed to. Who doesn't love a good betrayal story? I mean, our man Doza sure does love them because instead of fighting against the peasants, you know, like he should have, he decided to jump ship and join the peasants in their rebellion against the Hungarian Empire. Are you starting to see where, you know, some people might have wanted to see him executed?
Maybe.
Yeah. When Gregory Doza was eventually captured, the Hungarians made sure to get their revenge because the execution that they came up with was so brutal, so painful that it's almost just beautiful. First, they took Mr. Gregory and stripped him booty butt naked. Then they forced him to sit on a steaming red-hot iron throne. Okay, I mean, picture sitting on a steel bench when it's 90 degrees outside. Now imagine that, but 1,000 times hotter. Yeah. Oh, and they also made him wear a burning hot crown on his head and made him hold an equally hot scepter as well. Oddly specific, don't you think?
I already know the reason.
The reason for that was actually to mock his royal ambition, because, you know, the guy's a traitor. Here's where things got so creative, even I was impressed while researching this story. While Doza was getting his skin burned by the throne, crown, and scepter,
Cook him up. Let him cook. After let him cook.
these dudes went out and captured his younger brother, then
No.
hacked him to death right in front of Doza.
Bro, I feel bad for bro. I'm actually beginning to feel bad for bro. Bro, no. He didn't deserve this. But for going up against his own empire, maybe he kind of deserved it.
Wait, hold on, it doesn't stop there. Because after they slaughtered his brother, they would take pliers, heat it up with a fire, and start tearing Doza's flesh right off of him. Oh, and you remember the peasants that got him into this mess? Well, they were captured and...
I am not looking at this right now. Wait, watch, left actor. Am I looking at this picture, or is it... These guys have teeth. These guys have teeth.
starved for days before the Hungarians forced them to bite off and swallow Doza's flesh where the pliers had cooked it. What if they didn't want to? Well, I'm glad you asked, because if the peasants didn't eat his flesh, then they were just sliced into many, many pieces.
Now I see why we shouldn't have lived by that time.
So, like you would expect, the peasants who were not dead started gobbling up his flesh. Then after there was no more skin to eat, the Hungarians just got bored of hearing the man scream out in pain, so they just cooked him to death.
Damn. No. R.I.P. bro.
On the throne. Now, how can an execution get even more painful than that? Well, let me tell you about the execution of Peter Neal.
You can already tell by looking at this. His face right there. Ah, bro, about to be crazy.
I personally love this story because
look, the word's pretty messed up. Now I see why good I think it is.
this dude Peter was an absolute freak. Like seriously. Okay, imagine if Jeffrey Dahmer and Ted Bundy had a kid. That's essentially who Peter
Bro, the animation is even worse, bro.
Nears was. Basically, Nears
Nah,
was
this nigga looks like Jeffrey Dahmer, Ted Bundy. No, just John Wayne Gacy and Jeffrey Dahmer themselves combined. That's basically him.
a man in Naku, I don't know how to say this, I'm gonna pop it up on the screen, who went around and murdered local citizens. How many people did Nears kill exactly? Well, no one at the time actually knew. Until in 1577, he was caught then tortured into confessing 75 different acts of murder. Yeah, not even Dahmer or Bundy were putting up those type of numbers.
I mean, he's not wrong, and he's also wrong, because we don't know yet. For Bundy, Dahmer, he may know that he didn't get more murders. Bundy, we may not know, because experts say Barrett's killings were high, so not a good start.
Anyways, he was so feared by the German people that the
What the hell?
locals actually believed that he was a powerful, dark magician who was controlled by the devil himself, or herself. And honestly, they probably should have been even more scared of this guy because Nears somehow found a way to escape being in prison, despite being one of the most wanted men in the damn city.
Damn.
Also, he could continue doing what he loves, which is, killing people.
Okay, what is up with this nigga? And aiming for the eyes. Go for every part, but the eyes, why?
Can't hate the guy for doing what he loves. I mean, I'm out here doing the same thing. Not like that. I get to draw poorly drawn education videos for the coolest 978
No, I also subscribe. I'm subscribed to him, by the way.
people on the goddamn planet. Subscribe. Anyways, Peter's freedom didn't last too long because he was later captured again, where he confessed to 544 total murders and even admitted to cannibalism. Yeah, this dude was out here eating people up. But yes, he went from 75 kills to 544.
No, I take back what I said about the Bundy thing. I take back what he said. He has more kills. Bro, if you put this guy in a Call of Duty battle, bro is going to get the massive amount of kill streaks in 3 seconds.
Kills in the time that he was out in the wild. What I was kind of scared to share with you guys was out of the 544 people he murdered, 20.
Why? Why, bro? Why? God damn it, why? Bro, this guy, bro. Oh my God.
4 of them were fetuses that he cut out of pregnant women. He then used the fetuses to perform magical rituals, or he would just eat them.
Now I see why this guy has to be. Get this, kill this. Yeah, arrest him. You know, just arrest him. You know, just kill this guy, please. Kill him.
Yeah, you heard me correctly. Eat them. Listen, if it makes you feel better, this man got exactly what he deserved. Because the Germans made sure that he experienced one of the most painful, grueling executions of all time. Before the execution, though, they put Nears through 3 days of torture.
Quick math, slow. 72 hours. Okay.
On the first day, pincers were used to tear strips of flesh from all over his body, where hot oil was then poured into those wounds. Ouch. On the second day, his feet were smeared with hot oil and held over hot coals, so that his feet would burn until only his bones were showing. On the third day, he was tied to wooden stakes on the ground, where the Germans then took a large iron-rimmed wagon wheel and hovered it over him, then proceeded to smash it down on Nears a total of 42 times.
Yes.
Until his bones were crushed from his hands all the way down to his feet. A painful way to die, don't you think? You want to know an execution that was even more painful than the death of Peter Nears? It's the execution of a man named Mithridates back in 400.
Yeah, it reminded me of someone from the Greek, which I will not talk about. I'm just
1 BC. Because out of every execution I'm going to talk about in this video, this one is by far the most disgusting and nastiest way to kill someone. Yes, even more disgusting than having peasants eat your flesh or getting your skin ripped off and then having burning hot oil poured onto it.
like
Basically, there was a king named Artaxerxes II who ruled over the
Imagine
Achaemenid Empire. And he wanted Mithridates to kill his younger brother Cyrus. Why did he want to kill his own brother? Because Cyrus wanted to overthrow the king and claim the throne all for
Cyrus, but this guy is about. I don't know. I just don't know.
For himself. After Mithridates slaughtered Cyrus for the king, he was then asked to keep it all a secret so that the king could tell everyone that in fact he killed his own brother, so that no one else in the empire would challenge his rule again. Yes, he really killed his own brother.
Now I see how these guys react. The guys on the right. After they hit here, now they pick on the right. Now I see how they react. Even this guy behind.
Just to prove a point to everyone else. Now you're probably wondering, if Mithridates did exactly what he was asked to do, then why am I talking about him in this video? Well, one night Mithridates had a little bit too much to drink
I knew it.
at a feast, and he went around and told everyone that he in fact murdered Cyrus with his own hands, not the king. Let's just say the king wasn't too happy because when he heard about the betrayal, he immediately sentenced Mithridates to death.
Dang.
Which is where I now get to tell
Well, that's one way to lose a friendship.
you about this juicy, gut-wrenching execution that was drawn up to straight perfection. First, 2 canoes were carved so that they would fit together, where Mithridates was then stripped booty butt naked and was forced into one of them in the middle of the lake. Oh, and I forgot to mention that he was smeared from head to toe with milk and honey before being bound to the canoe.
Someone pick something up, I dropped something. We go.
Yeah, you heard me correctly, milk and honey. The other boat was then secured over him so that his hands, feet, and head stuck outside of the 2 canoes, but he couldn't move. Doesn't sound too bad yet, right? Just a side note that I forgot to mention earlier, Mithridates was trapped like this on the lake for days on end.
Damn.
And the milk and honey that they poured on him started to rot, which led to insects biting, stinging, and leeching off his body. But apparently there wasn't enough insects smothering him
Damn.
because just a week later, the top boat was removed and he was again smeared with milk and honey.
Bro.
Just a quick side note for, anyone wondering, Mithridates was forced to lick the rotten
What? No.
milk and honey
No.
off his own body.
No.
That's just nasty.
No.
Now you've probably been wondering this whole time what happens when he wants to go to the bathroom. Well, he has to urinate and defect all over himself in the boat for days and days on end. Now that there was urine, defect, rotten milk, honey, all stuck onto him, it attracted so many insects that it actually covered Mithridates' whole body. Like you actually couldn't see him under all the bugs.
Yeah.
Wait, it doesn't stop there. Because the insects began to enter his body.
Oh, sorry, I was scared by the picture. I was scared by the picture, okay?
And nest inside of him, laying eggs that eventually started hatching. Like they were dead-ass putting babies inside of him. Not like that.
No.
Not like that. Anyways, we didn't even get to the best part yet. The bugs multiplied so fast that the vermin ate through his entire eyeball. Not just one of them, but both of his eyeballs. Delightful, wouldn't you agree? And the bugs were multiplying so fast that they were actually able to destroy his sinuses from the inside.
Damn.
How sick is that? Apparently this whole execution lasted for a total of 17 days. All of this just because Mithridates had a little bit too much to drink at a party. Somehow, I still think that this next execution was even more painful than getting your eyeballs eaten by a bunch of insects. So let me tell you about the execution of Robert Francois Damons in
What about that?
the year
Just know that.
1757. By the way, I love how this execution ends because it's hilariously cruel, I'm telling you. Anyways, before we get ahead of ourselves, let me give you a quick rundown of what Damons did in the first place to get himself executed. One day, King Louis XV, who, by the way, was the King of France at the time, was leaving the Palace of Versailles one afternoon when Damons charged through his bodyguards and stabbed the king right in the...
Wow, bro. Why didn't you guys do anything? Y'all just standing there, looking at bro over there, and bro over there is just like, my stomach got stabbed. Hell no.
chest with a small penknife. And sadly, the king was barely wounded because the blade only penetrated his chest by half an inch.
Okay, I'm not gonna lie. Bro failed to kill him. I mean, obviously, bro.
Quick side note for anyone who might find this funny, King Louis XV actually called for a confessor after he was stabbed to admit to his wife that he's been having multiple affairs.
Oh hell no. Oh hell no. No, he did not. No, I'm not saying it's a lie. I'm not saying that like he did not. Like he actually did not. I'm just saying I'm just surprised. Cause why? Cause I think he already knew that he was gonna die. So he had affairs. Sorry.
Ooh, you dirty dog. Anyways, back to the main plot. The Parliament convicted Damons and he was then tortured for 4 straight hours.
Disclaimer: if y'all are scared of hearts getting ripped out, blood everywhere, leave this video. Thank you.
But it was the way they decided to torture him that was just straight elegant. First, his legs and feet were crushed into wooden boots. Not bad so far, right? Well, after, the French used red-hot pincers to tear off his flesh one section at a time. Once most of his skin was off, they decided to pour molten lead and boiling hot oil right into his open wounds.
Damn.
Okay, hold on. Just take a second to actually imagine how painful that was.
Would be pretty painful. Thank you very much.
Anyways, while Damons was screaming in agony, they decided to burn his right hand with scorching hot molten sulfur. Oh,
Ouch.
and it doesn't even stop there because the Parliament then handed Damons over to the royal executioner, Charles Sanson, where he somehow devised an execution that was even more painful than anything I've mentioned to you up until this point. Sanson grabbed Damons and dragged him into the middle of the Palace de la Greve. Why'd he change the scenery? So that hundreds of people could witness this.
Guys, by the way, guys, do you like my new watch that I bought? Yo, someone rate this watch from 1 to 10. Look at it. I know it's upside down, but you like my watch? Just rate it. Thank you very much.
Gruesome execution, where each of his hands and legs were then tied to the end of 4 different horses. And I think you know where this is going. Wait, I forgot to mention that Sanson sliced off Damon's genitals before tying him up.
Dang.
Isn't that bloody awesome? Anyways, the 4 horses were then forced to pull in 4 different directions so that his arms and legs would rip right out of their sockets. But somehow, Damon's joints were holding up and he was still able to be in one piece. Our boy Sanson started to get a little bit angry, so he walked over to Damon's and sliced deeply into his armpits and groin to...
Listen, at least leave my man alone. He can't do me through this much. He was tortured. Then you got the audacity to grab bro. No, that's just wrong.
to make the horses' jobs easier. In some twisted way, it's kind of thoughtful, don't you think?
No!
After the horses were able to rip Damon's arms and legs right off, leaving the dude with just a torso. I mean, they deadass made the man into a chicken nugget.
Chicken nugget.
Now, here's where the story takes a little bit of a turn. Yep, we aren't done just yet. This chicken nugget was somehow still alive even after getting his flesh torn off, getting molten lead and oil poured onto him, getting his genitals sliced off, and getting his arms and legs brutally ripped out of him.
Damn.
Don't ask, I don't even know how that's possible. Well, now the royal executioner looked like an idiot in front of hundreds of people for not being able to kill the man, because it was deadass's job, you know, the only thing he had to do. So Sanson decided to just throw him into a pit of fire where Damon's just burned to death. Boo, boring. Next, we have the execution of Balthasar.
I say leave this video, guys. I warned you. I warned you. I warned you.
Gerard. Okay, again, let me give you some background information on this guy so you understand why he died. This dude, Gerard, was a trained assassin. So you would think that he was really good at killing people, right? Wrong. Let me explain. One of Gerard's assignments was to assassinate the Dutch Prince William. And for anyone that was curious, it was the year of 1584. Just a random side fact. Anyways, one day Prince William was having dinner in his home when he decided to walk downstairs real quick. When Gerard secretly followed behind him and fired one of 2 pistol bullets right through his chest. And the prince collapsed and died right on the spot. So what could possibly go wrong here? Well, when Gerard was running away, his dumbass accidentally tripped over some...
Bro, you could not be this dumb, bro. You could not be this dumb. And how the hell are you still alive?
Rubbish and was caught by the guards. No, seriously, I wouldn't even be talking about this story if this man could run properly. Anyways, after he was caught, the court ordered that Gerard be tortured for 3 straight days before his execution. And let's just say, I think he would have rather died instantly. Because the torture they put Gerard through is probably the most brutal thing I've ever read on the internet.
Let me hear
Like,
it.
seriously. On the first day, he was hung up with his hands tied behind him on a pole and then was raised and dropped over and over again, dislocating his shoulders. Not that bad, right? Then he was brutally whipped with a bullwhip until his whole body was scarred.
Damn.
This is where things start to get a little bit juicy. They smeared his wounds with honey, then found a goat with the roughest tongue and forced it to lick the honey off of him. One problem though, the goat actually refused to lick Gerard.
Yeah, Gerard will say no. You're wrong.
So what did they do, you're probably wondering? They just poured salt into his wounds. Do you guys think that that's where the famous quote comes from, or am I...
Pouring salt in the wounds. This phrase literally comes from the meaning of the phrase. Yeah, thank you.
Just being crazy. Anyways, that's a wrap for day 1. On day 2, he was hung up on the pole again, except this time there was 300-pound weights tied to each one of his big toes. For 30 straight minutes. Ouch. Oh, did you think it just stopped there? Because they then took shoes that were made out of uncured leather and forced Gerard's feet into them,
Damn.
where they then lit a fire right under him. Quick science lesson before I continue, when leather is heated up, it actually starts to shrink. So the leather shoes contract
Shrink so hard. Oh, I'm not going to spoil.
so much that it actually crushed the bones of his feet.
Ouch.
And they just left the shoes on him for hours on end with the fire still lit under him. It gets worse because on the final day they ripped the shoes off of Gerard, which by the way tore his cooked flesh right off. Then as Gerard was screaming in agony, they lifted his arms and took branding irons and pressed it right into his armpits.
Bro, R.I.P. Gerard, bro. This guy has
Wait,
suffered
it doesn't
enough.
stop there. His pectoral muscles were then cut out of him. Yes, they ripped this man's chest out. Just ruthless. But they made sure to rub his big wound with salt. Thoughtful, don't you think? Anyways, they then took pins and shoved it under all of his fingernails and toenails.
Ouch, but that would hurt, bro.
They then put a shirt on him that was soaked in alcohol and burning bacon grease. Don't forget that this man's whole chest is torn wide open at this point. Yeah, imagine the pain. The title of this video was no joke.
I understand.
After pincers were used to continue to tear off more skin, then his right hand was burned off with a red-hot iron.
Damn.
What did they not do to this guy?
What did they not do to him? Yeah, bro, oh my god.
Probably what you're thinking in your head right now. Well, ladies and gentlemen, it gets even more gruesome. Because after his hand was burned off, his belly button was ripped open, his intestines were ripped out, his genitals were sliced off, and his arms and legs weren't even a part of his body anymore. And guys, Gerard was still alive through all of this.
So Bird's basically not a human anymore. He's just that.
So how did he finally die? They sliced his chest wide open, then snatched his heart out, then threw it into his face. Yeah, this video made me realize that there are some cruel and just sick people on this planet. But if you want to hear more gut-wrenching, twisted, inhumane tortures, check out this video right here where I talk about the most brutal rituals in human history.
So that.
Alright, let's talk about...
Alright, sorry, guys. Thank you so much for watching this video. I know y'all did enjoy it. I'm feeling the same pain right now. Shut up. I'm feeling the same pain right now. So, I know y'all will be traumatized after this, but forgive me if it's my fault. Anyways, you already know my outro. Stop vibing to my outro music and peace.